The 5 wisdoms families are an aspect of expression or consciousness. Each of these 5 families is associated with a particular color, a sound or a seed syllable, a direction, sometimes a particular terrain, an element and an emotion, an encumbered emotion and a wisdom emotion. One of the primary ways of working with these energies is through a mandala practice. These aspects of consciousness manifest in actually all of the elements. So the 5 elements associated with these 5 families are space, water, earth, fire, and air. Interestingly, these elements comprise many things in the earth, but they also are in us. We have all of these 5 elements. So it gives us a lot to work with. Also, the elements are expressed as light. Sometimes we forget, really? We think of ourselves as these material, formed beings, but actually we're energy, and we are light. That light radiates from us. Each of these 5 families is also associated with a color: white, blue, yellow, red, and green. If you go into a Tibetan Buddhist temple, you will see those colors. You'll see those colors in the brocades. You sometimes see those colors around thangkas, sacred paintings. They are very much a part of Tantric Vajrayana Buddhism. And they remind us of these 5 expressions of consciousness, and they also remind us of our own luminosity. Each of these families is associated with an encumbered emotion and the wisdom. Sometimes we think we have to get rid of emotion. We need to conquer it. We need to remove it. Well, in fact, in Vajrayana Buddhism, we don't have to remove anything. We just transform it. So think that the encumbered emotions are existing simultaneously with the wisdoms. All we're doing really at its core level is recognizing the wisdom that exists in these emotional expressions. In fact, when we talk about the colors hold the essence of these families. The color radiates light. It radiates energy. Similarly to how wisdom radiates. You know, when you meet someone who's meditated a long time, or they're identified as pretty much along the path of enlightenment, you can feel that energy. That's that radiation of the wisdom and the light energy. The elements themselves, before we even look at the emotions, have a dynamic quality. So when you think about the dynamic quality of space is actually potentiality. Anything can arise from space. The dynamic energy of water is that kind of turbulent, roiling rivers, the waves. The dynamic energy of earth is the solidity, right? You sit down on the ground, you know that you're not going to fall through. Unless you're on shifting sand. The energy of fire It consumes. Sometimes fire pulls you in. Did you ever look at a candle or a fire in a fireplace, and it draws you in, it magnetizes you? And then the energy of air. Air is pretty turbulent, as we've experienced just recently here in New York City. We've had some storms in across the country. So these elements have a dynamic energy, as do our emotions. So when we talk about mandala practice, working with the Dakinis and these 5 families, we're not talking about a static practice. We're talking about something that's shifting, that's moving, that's changing. And Vajrayana Buddhism creates an environment for that to happen. As humans, we have a lot of habitual patterns. They get in the way a lot of the time. So you think about those powerful emotions. We're often trying to manage them, sometimes trying to get rid of them, very frequently suffering from them, because they are the kind of energy that blocks. So when you think about envy or anger or, pride, you can really feel like how toxic those expressions can become, how toxic those patterns become. So interestingly, in Buddhism, they're referred to as the 5 poisons. Some people are familiar with the 3 poisons: anger, ignorance, and craving. But here we're looking at 5 of them. And I'll say again, these encumbered emotions: ignorance or denial, and I'll get more specific about that as we dive into the family; anger; pride, but really pride is about feeling not worthy, feeling like you're not good enough, that kind of emptiness, not the emptiness of spaciousness. Craving, actually craving for relationship, people. And then envy, competition. So those they can really block us. What do they block us? Well, ultimately they block us from our own enlightenment. They also block us in our everyday expression. We get stuck. We get angry. And then that gets in the way of us just having a life and being at peace. These 5 poisons inhibit our self-actualization on one level, and they inhibit our enlightenment. Lama Tsultrim prefers to call these encumbered emotions, primarily because when the energies are recognized in their true nature, we have wisdom. So it's like the encumbrance is dissolved, so to speak, and we have the wisdom. So again, we're not trying to get out of these emotions. We just want to recognize, and we recognize through a transformative process and through the assistance of the Dakinis, who act as a midwife for our transformation, for our enlightenment. So I shared the 5 poisons. I want to talk a little bit about the 5 wisdoms. So what do they transform into? The 5 wisdoms, all-encompassing wisdom, sometimes referred to as the wisdom of spaciousness, being able to just be in space, hold space. Mirror-like wisdom, being like the mirror. The mirror, water, is not changed by anything it reflects. It remains the same. So mirror-like wisdom also is pristine clarity. Equanimity. You don't need to gather things, you don't need to hold things, you don't need to accumulate things. Equanimity. It's all there. Abundance. A fullness. In terms of discernment, the wisdom of discernment is the knowing that you don't have to magnetize people to yourself. You're enough. And then the wisdom of what they call all-accomplishing wisdom. The energy that whatever needs to get done is going to get done. It is being done. It's done at its inception. So those are traditionally the 5 wisdoms that are connected to the 5 encumbered patterns. So how do we learn to work with these 5 families? We work with them through the Dakini Mandala practice, the practice of the wisdom of the 5 Dakinis. We don't have enough time in this series to learn the whole practice, but I'm going to be able to give you a very shortened aspect of the practice where you get to feel the transformation of these energies. In the mandala, we start in the center. The Buddha Dakini sits in the center. The Vajra Dakini sits in the east. So for all intents and purposes, I'm facing east, and the Vajra Dakini would be in front of me. The Ratna Dakini, who is the energy of equanimity, is on my right. The Padma Dakini is behind me, and the Karma Dakini is to my left. We can travel through the mandala, around the mandala, sounding seed syllables, working these energies. I want to begin to introduce the Buddha Dakini family. The Buddha Dakini family sits in the center. The color is white or clear. The encumbered emotion is spaciness or delusion or denial. The seed syllable is BAM, B-A-M. The element is space. Some of the encumbered patterns, and I'm just going to go through a few. Delusion, denial, wanting to hide your head under the covers, not wanting to deal, waiting for things to happen, being stuck, frozen. And then the wisdom expression that you can have access to. The wisdom of Dharma Dhatu, the wisdom of spaciousness. Sky-like wisdom. So being as vast as the sky, feeling as vast as the sky, and not getting nervous about it. A calm, a peacefulness. Being with what is, almost like resting, a relaxed nature. I want to quickly teach you a sound practice. So right now, feel a time when you felt sad, depressed, in denial, procrastinating. That's a good one, right? And see where you can feel that. Hold that in your body. And as you hold that in your body, I want you to sound the syllable BAM and imagine that your body is being flooded with white light. And so I'll do it for a few minutes. BAM. Do it with me. BAM. Really see the flood of light. BAM. Now check in. Do you feel that delusion, the denial, the procrastination at the same level? You might notice that there's been a little shift. This is a practice that you can do over a period of 60 seconds, 30 seconds. You just keep sounding the syllable and seeing the color flood through your body, and then checking in and see how you feel.